There is a secret ritual practiced by warriors, athletes, artists, and spiritual masters throughout millennia, a ritual que doesn't require temples, mantras, or elaborate ceremonies. Just a decision, a visceral choice to retain cabo to most men waste without realizing, to vital force, keo creative essence, to spiritual fuel. Como fa todo quis? Es un vento di joe, des homo do confimpada, que te preconficadeas, continua pro precanta, tomois pro poriodoleda, y alabian tomois pro preconficadosio. Comprendi da preconfigado po prashan in la sheldes prella finina. Tomo fa todo, que si you are throwing away, every day, the secret ingredient to success, mental clarity, the magnetic charisma, que charisma que attracts opportunities, people, and achievements, orgis to continue believing tal narrative que se sudo de rato feo, since impulses just a biological reflex without consequences, a fleeting pleasure que has no real impact on trajectory so. Since the truth is to conas on both condition to big the vision of modern culture, to new sexual desire as something trivial, mechanical, disconnected but on any greater purpose. We are bombarded by stimuli that encourage us to seek immediate relief, instant gratification, quick release, pornography, compulsive masturbation, disconnected sex, hobby como escape probes, por processed anxieties, on ignobles existential voids, on manifested creative potentials. He will seek pleasure for the finset, por ni comelo del time, tos encablan intentions, disipotan time cornelo giorgiore titod, giene bacanto, o consista gutari como, donde vidistu en aquino plinor sido gurt, toda preconviendo y vialied, toda fade con un inicio masta fino do chids, ado disi con roboitil, por itel vanipkis, las erschifren sitten barapti do fotea, je profi for jardin nigentel, y si que return i vas tot makova otiu bordo nadzes, pado padilvaso, onikanke jugian, tot firesin, dimi velvom neki mi vido di the dads, passimum faito, don nebrosta mi anocam lamba hiso, doin bor, mazapien nicarasa mi vesel bead, dimi comin rodesigin, pofin betanto la masin nicatomin, dene biet que goro de si sed por retrile higivim, es hora di vini bisin for the ganopalosis and diodo ne fen realizi, para que no ane virtutiu de languas de ghetto, y ancestral vuesdo para que empegad, y lomdodar ensejabes mostugle diave, tures moter ancestrais e todos, tobe la very force del plipodes. Napoleon Hill, the man who spent a decade studying the success patterns of the greatest achievers in history, discovered something that seems selfish in a penteke nob, to pergodin selpipumstavo del non forion, and no, isimbeno besmezo teoretekit, neither había empirical observación, an inevitable relacisea, ano de graument en juerin opforma mensav, Thomas Edison, in Andrew Carnegie, to Theodore Roosevelt, share the secret. They knew how to channel sexual energy for higher purposes. They understood that this primitive impulse, when mastered and redirected, became an inexhaustible source of creativity, determination, focus, personal power. Hill wrote the sexual energy, intero asteto, is like a torrential river can both destroy villages and irrigate entire civilizations. It all depends on how you direct it. Pero cuanto el del UFO, But quanto offension pepotit stop. When you make a pact with yourself not to ejaculate for 45 days, what changes in your body, in your mind, in your soul? Let us dive deep into this alchemical journey, this visceral transformation que few men have the courage to experience. In the first few days, you feel the discomfort. It's as if your entire internal programming is in shock. Your body, accustomed to the ciclo de sepelodausel and release, begins to send out warning signals. Intrusive thoughts arise more frequently. You notice every sexual stimulus around you with an almost uncomfortable intensity. This is where most give up. We live in a age of instant gratification, where no gestes discomfort can be appeased in seconds. But process precisely in its initial discomfort that the process of transmutation begins. Your dream begins por todos protitos inquiporotinollav, begin a malevado, vikin exceldo revolfobias cognitive, dito navopias proismato, lo por preupsie vector varvau. You notice a mental clarity is to haven't experienced in a long time, e giù nella plemenza anche meno prepiati per esperienza di tuclo, no esperi sentia vicios, almost imperceptible. Betumones on las perisuntas was this product la false and lies, stora plopo probedofsai. There's a non-coincidence complex now. Arise by clarity, and this is no coincidence. Modern studies show that frequent ejaculation is associated with hormonal fluctuation that directly affect your cognitive state. When you ejaculate, the dopamine level spike and then plummet, creating a cycle of seeking and reward, que non conditions probe con tanto toinixtic studio. Contempre it to your own pleasure, and like any addiction, it leaves you in a state of mental fog, low energy, fluctuating motivation. But as you retain, when you decide not to throw away and the precious fuel is being conserved, your brain starts to recalibrate, dopamine stabilizes, serotonin rebalances, and something un verma o la per se. Tus testosterone ipilogio, testosteronibos, it's not a myth, it's not pseudoscience. Scientific research has documented that after 7 days of abstinence, testosterone pilos can increase by up to 45%. 45%. Think about what that means. Testosterone isn't just a libido hormone, it's the hormone of confidence, assertiveness, strength, ambition. It's what makes you look another man in the eye without looking away. It's what gives you the courage to take calculated risks. It's what turns boys into men. And here's the cruelly risky. Modern society is doing the exact opposite. It's encouraging you to constantly drain that energy, to live in a perpetual state of hormonal depletion, of reduced testosterone, of dissipated vital energy. And then when those nipsiman men are depressed, anxious, with some purpose, with some pro-purpose, with some proficient fire. The answer is right in front of you. You are literally ejaculating your power out of your body. As the night progresses, you begin to notice physical changes, your posture changes. You stand taller, more present in the space you occupy. Your eyes gain a different gleam, an intensity that the people around you begin to notice, even if unconsciously. You become more magnetic, and thus, is the fetter metaphysics, is the pure biology. When you retain your vital essence, when you accumulate testosterone, when your endocrine system rebalances, you start to exude pheromones more intensely. Your presence becomes more striking. People notice you entering a room. Conversations flow more easily. You attract attention effortlessly. Napoleon Hill condiso sexual magnetism. Observer te per extoinos contiamente is exiable quality.
Attractat to opportunities, bodies, and da accuracy intelligistics, or at a hard work. It was this communicant intelligence can rot for the work. It was semmin obscutla, sempre da magnetism tessura l'endigevel. An invisible force field. In the source of this magnetism, Hill discovered, was transmuted sexual energy. It was a power to control man's most primitive impulse and redirect it towards creation, towards manifestation, towards the realization of grand visions.
But the journey is not linear. Around the 15th birthday, West November practitioners called the Dark Night. That's when all your unconscious conditioning comes to the surface. You find yourself confronting deep patterns, repressed memories, impulses you didn't even know you had. Sexual energy, when retained, works like a flashlight that illuminates the dark corners of your psyche. It exposes your shadows, and that's uncomfortable. Pues Dios to resusa ciudad bien, que them and masturbation, fantasias escape mecanismos, pues go cabeba lego tiempo y podis feeling loneliness, inadequacy, fear, anger. Carl Jung said we don't become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And that's exactly what happens when you retain your sexual energy. You are forced to face what you have always avoided. The emotional wounds que por isma momentegen turma momentegen pleasure. The existential voids que por isma momentegen pleasure. The lack of purpose que por ismas infinite distractions. And when you finally stop running, when you remain in tension without seeking easy relief, something miraculous happens. You start to integrate these fragmented parts of yourself. You become whole. The Taoist masters understood this deeply. They taught a semen, que estaban i hondo dos koriging, was the fu preposino posmode juna pode human body. Las preposino posini jacaleusinos, rentonole fluid, but vitality, longevity, spiritual clarity. That's why they developed sophisticated practices of retaining and circulating this energy throughout the body. The visualized energy rising up the spine, activating energy centers, nourishing the brain, expanding consciousness. And while you may not believe in esoteric language, the esoteric language, ton fundamental principio la remanto da amaviote. Esantalio dinoripe podamin walimaida. Nenisque la nojosora la odienus, the panto creative expression. Eniesque la nojosora la walico poste. Nation to sapo poste con axon to sabo no pisan inviten poste dieni. You pajamos a eretimantes exam, you motivasison elevenis kimplis vaitsenem kjas obedecer santo adotesen, tifis tronos subjectit impresión, you pajamos a retidioxatallarnos. Neuroplasticite con eonem torbastitan sobre tekenem sudetios, pues chagem sibanes avo de gestibique tu bambas dopaminergic cycle paronoria, pues genu in creation, pues building something meaningful. Napoleon Hill observet, to greatest inventors, artists, entrepreneurs, antirto perios intense productivite, y coincided sexual continence. Y dotera recommended manto ja focused on a big projects, to grace and lamturi reduced or eliminated sexual activity. No out of puritanical repression, but out of an intuitive recognition, quitaron el regio pero recognizan, energy was needed elsewhere, y fonturli redulabodamo, vicemente que nemise penesi por egritza. De guer inseminate ne probamio, quanto es ideas, instead of wasting a city no empty moments of fleeting pleasure. And if you're watching this and feel that there's something deeper wanting to emerge in your life, if you recognize that this message is resonating somewhere inside of you that you didn't even know existed, I need to ask you something. Don't let this energy dissipate after the video ends. Subscribe to this channel now and turn on the notification bell. Pues con quanto is experience in a momento is exactly the kind of feeling community gua quería de tu norte and amplify. Every week I bring content that will help you on this journey of transmutation, of self-mastery, of conscious evolution. But this message only reach you if you decide to be part of this tribe of men who are committed to something great. Each video is designed to shake you out of your slumber, to remind you of the inner warrior that you abandoned at some point along the way. And when you subscribe, you're not just adding another channel to your list, you're making a public declaration to the universe that you're ready to change. So pause now for 3 seconds and hit that red button. Your future self, the man you will become in 45 days, will thank you for it. Back to the journey. On the 13th day is the threshold. Den energy que el yumbiano simonobo well montora lo bunan contrololevo is now integrated. You comrecasset. You tires por tu present with no one. You diere cante del tire. You camoro dijeron no se quiere el impulset. Is a comprehension for us. You no longer see women as objects for release, but as complex and fascinating human beings. Your libido destodagia un verdadeestus, un disivers podem por you seri fascinati. Bramando il potan conte kem tu via presence, to authentic desire, to genuine intimacy, no to escape, no to addiction, no to empty compulsion. You become selective. You energy was too precious stimulus wasted on any superficial stimulus. You begin to evaluate everything en la lege through the lens of energy. Todos te gazorcieron tererovefi, pues todos por no muy tirocedores, en tirocedores café cufimiga, tirocedores café cufimiga via de un dablu bricio po, desde se ambico piune vedace spoltili tu piuno, tu piunificia forte rogue de trefem tierra. It's magnetisme. It's the inevitable result for a man who has finally stolen flying or stolen pro away. El prinio lo que ponte fidelity de forie. Tu mundo mazolo se dogone ya via si reio biao as an andigon de remarkable reconfiguration. Your dopamine receptors, which were desensitized by the constant bombardment of supernormal stimuli, have begun to recover. Tisquituar pergas, which were te coarte datuar in lersania. Which were laquer on to be con more con the coas supernormal stimuli, porque que reviduar en genen so coas, diros que está fumido 5, pa fepsim toda destimin stupin topitomilo, se some safeties to put versing for artist to you. You no longer need the increasingly intense stimuli to feel anything. Your natural sensitivity has been restored. You went back to being human, instead of being a lab rat pressing levers in search of the next dopamine hit. Your prolactin levels, when increasing after each ejaculation, make you associated with feelings of lethargy and demotivation, remain low. You wake up with energy, You maintain that energy throughout the day. You go to sleep, satisfied por quanto you have built, not exhausted by having drained your vitality into empty pleasure. Your sleep quality improves. Your dreams become more vivid, more symbolic. It's as if your unconscious is finally being allowed to communicate with you. Not until you are not constantly flooding your system with waves of artificial pleasure can mask all the subtle messages that your body and soul are trying to send you. And therefore, your zinc levels, que dramatically gatucan, with the agualio ejaculation, begin to normalize. Zinc is essential for teenage metabolic processes, including immune function, protein synthesis, testosterone production. When you ejaculate frequently, you are literally draining this vital mineral from your body. Be around the 40th day. You are no longer the same man started giorni. You are no le devozione desquestationec. You are no le dia devozionacho cafcationel. You are no le devozionacho habiaba pression. 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 You are no le true freedom is having the power to choose consciously, to delay gratification when necessary, to direct your energy to where your dobra vision points, not to where your ormos push you. The Stoics knew this. Epictetus taught that freedom begins with the perception that there are things under our control and things outside of it. And our impulses, although they arise spontaneously, can absolutely be governed by superior reason. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and warrior philosopher, put in his meditations about the importance of commanding the pleasures of the body, of anomaboda orifili contrelo milleros of path. Y los saquenar de estofarizamento portan contrelo millo con pazza, y como contrelo baf picaires, can choro lead armies, govern nations, build empires, he can barely govern himself. Hijo, es ariende mose garfente, e tomo gambadios por contrelo carfa d'indelterbor, fanam quinto por llamado avio pepente atruda. E sin choro ludoma, avintanor John control tema primero govern babodors, torlifilat, o para quien dos no cabece avance tu protosión contrelo pisantar. De permiso dai, gabo os abate con naxtola do morelo, toma el llubis auchuare quicho provendo, y josis amori un pozo sueva. Y quante obedient consumers, y quante docile, distracted, emasculadente men, constantly seeking on next stimulus to appease dinner emptiness can never feel, poco en estaman aretuli understood. En rayo de para más efectivo es tu man is to separate him de que spinua ne betogio mariposas tan opecupe, pues a strong man, a man con a clear purpose, con accumulated vital energy, con magnetismo, que te attractos opportunities, en dangerous man por asiste peca depende conformacie. Napoleon Hill understood this como elegir por dote sexual transmutation, was the secret to powerful men nu, pero rarely shorted. It was not Victorian repression, it was deliberate strategy, it was practical alchemy. Y cuando hay una ruina rostámdica que a plesor, esto va el venito plesor más sexual release y sin finatel inferior, toda lasting plesor ma becho fin, a manifesting, a visión, a manifesting a visión, a living a legacy, a becoming a forza do naturer. You controfirta you fortuity plesor, pero si su en África, you ponían a nom para se que son tu ecuación de cumpla fodama fesin show. Yo que el completo es event sin promoción si tomo uma imsequence de dotin tomlu gupla foda prend. You di despojesa somewhere deep inside you, de su optionivo esporedo la gente, y so civil como valesti prodo vetails prodo de que habicamente han mosolona mabioan en tomon testuel. Axon, iso selici non fesen so yon posa dia que mi obin salgin duba, fela grepit, anbi honorin que tobosio, vi conoce las rebuados en los life travel, diuber que sprea jupuni meter cam ancestral, Tome until puatiso, biconuse just travel, tomo ya piamen genesin, manene pruga gramillantice, para sint pusiero novado todo eso noto, collamiento que coneamio sin impulsis, vali transmutinetino. You are the man who went through the tension, in emersit forto, temperdo refined. You are the alchemist, you are them to iglod, primitive impulse in unconscious power, scattered desire into directed purpose. And now, with our accumulated strength, with our carbon clarity, with our cultivated magnetismo, you are ready to build, to create, to manifest, to lead. Pero let me be clear, this is not about moral superiority, it's not about judging other men who make different choices. Ito somos disaguar todos, tengo me verdade disobrejado maurse de él. Ito gire mimia mezquinia un faen miset otra made jasos. Inersocia finia do que no me pedi que no show. Leonamo disomegus, you just needed permission to believe in what your body, your soul, your deepest essence has been trying to tell you. Not in religion moralistica sente que estaban imposto na ventumos poion preceding institutions. B. Sacred in the original sentem de guardo, sepelais, special, powerful, worthy of reverence, unconscious use. Is a work sons a un elan vital, de creative impulse que drives all evolution. Is el kundalini de yogis, the power bobocoil da base of the spine, waking to be awakened and raised. Ita Freud's eros, no que sexual desire, por ese principio como es creación, unión, transcendence, y balafenes arwanaceni capito tremes prefluente niveles tuens, y pique mesange flau na meros anestano vipiondo flali, orian getunica bio contrada esire, pero un prisocos que vina o multifia creative realities. Soñé virato pura nos asinen precu conta todo que tapiendo te conta todo que tapiense, se incluida sociedad no confesense. Orcaru, y con echaem corras duque experimente, to testis ancestral trus de laboratoria do yo al bodio, to prove tu yostel sers comoria slav, pot pasaptan y mastaron de saque de tempo y el tier organism, forte te in 5 dies, 1090 minutes, 64 telon de 80 minutes. It's not just about ejaculation, it's about reclaiming your power, it's about stopping dissipation and starting to accumulate. It's about transforming chaotic and dispersed energy into directed and potent force. It's about ceasing to be a reactive man, driven by impulses and conditioning, and becoming a creative man, guided by visioning and purpose, and becoming an osteomergia vana como paution hil mento ensaga de karmato prolon. You understand as the other festus, dirordo a presela do mebocia, yemotojus comantra de gravia fabocia, yemotojus comantra do frisen a manifestos. Ja es pupa fil doldra ne un prof, ja gente is prominti fopesquela, jemotenon bin doldra ben produada butia, ja solude sesto mostrida. Todo estado más tubiuica monturima priafe. The only question is, are you going to let it burn wildly, consuming everything without purpose? Or are you going to learn the sacred art of keeping it contained, focused, directed, transforming it into the heat to forges great men, great works, great lives? The choice, as always, is yours. But now you know, and knowing is the first step to transmuting.